Yes,
So let's go with who you want to look at first. So your first choice.
Ooh, can we look at POKIMANE?
Oh, you want to do okay, I've looked up. Okay, we'll go POKIMANE first. All right.
I'm down for either of them. They both in my brain are like the Twitch woman business.
Okay. I don't know Valkyrie at all.
We should do POKIMANE then.
But I do know I have seen POKIMANE and seen her advertised in places and that. So let's look up her date of. Oh, yeah, I've got her date of birth. Okay. So we don't have. Yep.
I mostly want her chart to see if she has Capricorn in it because everyone calls her a like the CEO, the little like, you know, like so I think it'll be kind of interesting.
Okay, so we haven't pre-looked at any of these charts, anyone. If anyone's wondering, this is the first time we're looking at them up. We just decided a few streamers that we thought would be interesting to look at, some big famous Twitch streamers. So she's born on the 14th of May. Hello, Taurus.
Oh my gosh.
14th of May.
I love me a Taurus.
Oh yeah, we do. 1996. I think it was, 1996. So we don't have birth time, everyone. So all we can do is go by the planetary alignments where they are. We can't look at houses and how things play out in her life or any of that stuff. We're just going to look at more about who she is in a sense by, we can look at her, not her rising, but we can look at her moon, her sun, and all her other planetary placements basically. And we can see if they're interacting together too.
It kind of makes me feel a little bit better because I almost feel a little bit weird about like looking up other people's charts.
Full into their life, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really weird because a lot of people do use celebrity charts as examples. Like it's a really great way to learn. But at the same time, sometimes I'm like, would I want someone digging, like knowing people's house placements? And stuff.
It can be very personal. That's right.
Yeah, so hopefully this will be nice and like surface level, and it'll be fun. I'm actually really excited. I'm curious. I'm really curious if she has Capricorn vibes because people call her a ruthless businesswoman.
Oh, okay. Very interesting. Okay.
Very I don't know if people know much about I'm sure people know about POKIMANE.
Yeah. Do you want to say who she is and what she does in that? Yeah.
So she's like a streamer. She's like one of the first big streamers. She just got into it back when streaming a lot like made you just like grow over time. So she's like one of those like iconic original streamers. She also was one of the first people to really intelligently monetize it, and she like created Offline TV, which is kind of like her little group, her little posse of like creator friends, and they make content together and they like do podcasts and they all stream, and it's like a whole little intertwined money making creative machine, and I just think it's really fascinating. A lot of people call her like a ruthless businesswoman because she like took the opportunity of streaming and she was like, I'm gonna go and like make this a thing, and she was really one of the first people to kind of do that. So I think that's why I wanted to look at her chart. I want to see if she has Capricorn.
Oh, so how old is she? She's 96, did I say? So that's interesting. Yeah, so 90. So how old does that make her? 25?
Gosh,
is that 25 or? Yeah, 25? Yeah, 25.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know math.
I'm supposed to know maths. I'm the bloody finance accountant lady. Okay. All right.
You guys have never heard of POKIMANE? Y'all are wild.
Oh, wow. Okay. She's advertised on like so much gaming stuff and all that too. That's the thing.
It's really well known.
Yeah. Okay, now let's bring up her chart.
Your old app, yeah, sure.
A lot of P's in here. Where are we?
Not too old to not be on Twitch, though. Wait, yeah.
No age is too old for Twitch or for any streaming or anything like that. Don't be silly, anyone.
That's a good point. I feel like a lot of people don't even know what Twitch is, though.
I might send you the link too in case you want to look at it bigger.
Oh, actually, that'd be dope.
I'll send it to you in Discord. Yeah.
Yay! Oh, I'm excited.
Okay, and I think it expires after a while, but you should be able to see it. So let me just bring OBS up so I can open the chart. Okay.
And if you guys didn't know, it's kind of rough to calculate charts sometimes because if you get like one number wrong, you're like suddenly in a different year. So sometimes like I know it takes me like an extra long time to like get my charts going because I'm always like double, triple checking my numbers, because it's an ordeal.
Okay.
Do you see that Jupiter in Capricorn? I'm sorry, but
All right, so let me bring the chart back up and let me bring you back up. There we go. Okay, so oops, I'm not on the chart. I'm on. There we go. All right, so
Ooh, I'm excited.
I will do
Ooh,
your
I'm
style,
excited.
and I will bring the pen out just in case there's anything I can point out that people are looking at. I love that you
Love
do
it.
this. Okay, so what do you see first, or what do you want to do?
The first thing I think we should talk about is all her Taurus stuff because not
Ooh.
only is she a Taurus, a lot of people who are like, "Oh, I'm a Taurus," that just means their sun sign is a Taurus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people might not relate to their sun sign alone. However, she has Sun conjunct Mercury, which means it's exactly lined up by the to the degree actually, and also Mars is also in there as well. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that. I think that's kind of interesting.
So the Sun and Mercury are like best friends, and when they come together, it's like anytime the Sun comes together with a planet, it can be overpowered by the Sun and can be like sort of end up like not being able to like express itself because the Sun's so overpowering. But with
Blown out.
Mercury, there's a difference with them, I think, and they are like best friends, and they're able to have a really good conversation together and hang out and all that stuff. So when they're in a chart together, it's really good and really positive, and someone that can be like super expressive and like communicate about who they are and express themselves truly who they are and speak about themselves or truly who they are and are just really in their self and who they are, basically, I find. And it's those two together just means that it flows really well. Their self, their communication, just those two things they represent.
Yeah, and what's like interesting about it too is Mercury can only be either in the same sign as your sun or within one sign to either side of your sun. So it's like almost meant to be near your sun. And yeah, Kat's right that it is like when you have that sort of when they're lined up like that, when Mercury is your communication style and the sun is like your core self, it's like you're able to just it's the same thing, like you communicate your core self. And I think that being Taurus like brings a really like consistent and I mean there are other things in her chart because Taurus can be kind of like stereotypically a little lazy, I think.
Yep,
But I think
definitely.
yeah,
And
I think
Mars
if
and
it's
Mars is
healthy.
there. Mars is there in Taurus. That can be lazy having a Mars in Taurus.
Exactly. So she might be reading about all these Taurus things and be like, wait, but I feel like I'm more ambitious. But then there are other placements in her chart, of course, that will. A healthy Taurus, though, will be very consistent.
Yeah.
They're very
loyal.
like,
They're very loyal.
very loyal, very. I have a bad habit of associating signs with houses, so I have a habit of saying they are very like indulgent and like interested in their
I do that
work.
too, though. Yeah.
Yeah, and like that's debated whether or not you should do that or not, but I do kind of I like to associate like Taurus with that sort of like indulgent, like I want to build like
Yeah.
I want to like
It is.
like,
It's a security thing with Taurus. So they want to have things to
yeah.
feel secure, whether it's possessions or whether it's people or whatever it is. Like they want that security, some kind of security, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Sorry, you go.
I was just any do you want to talk about aspects and stuff or do we want
Yeah,
to
talk
like
about anything that we think sort of stands up. So let's look at it. So like we're saying that like these placements are lazy. So let's see what makes her what disputes that, like what overcomes that. So
the biggest thing I'm seeing is that is it a trine with the Jupiter in Capricorn up there?
so we've got Jupiter here at 17 degrees. Yep, and then we've got the Sun and Mercury here. So that causes a trine because we've got 4 signs in between each sign, or 120 degrees in between each planet, basically. So yes, there is a trine there in Capricorn and Jupiter. Yep.
And something that, and I mean, I kind of mentioned I wanted to see if she had Capricorn placements because everyone
Yeah.
calls her the ruthless businesswoman. So she has this Taurus side where she has like, it's called a stellium when you have like 3 major planets in one sign. So it's like very prominent that she has so much Taurus. But those blue lines that point up to that Jupiter kind of mean that Jupiter kind of helps Taurus along, and that Taurus also helps Jupiter along. And Jupiter is a planet of like expansion and luck, and Capricorn is like the businessman. So she has this weird like
The
ability,
boss, the entrepreneur,
Yeah,
the boss.
yeah.
Yep. She
and she
can be
turns
her
on
own
that,
boss.
you know,
Yeah.
totally.
And
What else?
also,
you?
for a stellium is usually 3 degrees between 3 planets, but 3 degrees between them. for a stellium, so she hasn't quite got one there, but still that strong Taurus energy. But yeah, I fully agree. That's going to help that that placement. It's, if it was Jupiter in another sign, it could make it more lazy, because Jupiter sometimes can just like be where we miss opportunities and all that too if we're too lazy. But because it's in Capricorn, it's like you said, it's going to make where her expansion and growth and abundance and opportunities come from hard work, from Capricorn themes, from hard work, from having goals and going after your goals, and that's someone that can have big goals and achieve them too, with Jupiter and Capricorn there for sure.
Totally.
And she does have Neptune there in Capricorn too. And Neptune and Capricorn placements can sort of by default be their a sort of weakness can be that they're like can be workaholics as well.
Right. Is that because Neptune is sort of like the endless sort of void planet? And
yeah,
so
it's
when
where we
in
can
Capricorn-
self-sabotage ourselves, where we can deceive ourselves, where we can see things with rose-colored glasses and not see things clearly and all that. And that can be, and it could also be like that sort of placement could also just be with authority figures and stuff like that, or father figures, that sort of thing, where she is deceived or doesn't see things clearly or something like that too. But or it's that work, that career, that goal setting, that but it's also so it's where you can overdo it as well, I guess, with that Capricorn, so overworking, you know.
Totally.
All that sort
Do you
of thing.
think that Neptune sort of brings maybe like a romanticization
Yeah.
to like that sign?
Yeah.
So it's like you have this image of like
Yep.
like if, for Pokimane, for example, she might have this image of what this business is that she wants, and like because she has like this really dreamy, like idealistic idea of it, on top of Jupiter being in there, which is like expansive and like endless growth, it could probably be pretty even more workaholic-y, I'd imagine.
And even just like that, like she's got the dreams. She's able to dream about her goals and, like you said, and all that, and dream big things or whatever. Things that are practical and achievable too. Those dreams are practical and achievable. She can have really good big goals in that, but they're practical and achievable because it's in that, because Neptune's in Capricorn. So they're not like, you know, she's not all in it's not Aquarius, you know, Neptune Aquarius or Neptune in Aries or something like that, where it's not necessarily going to be able to really follow through on those dreams. It's more practical dreams where she will actually be able to manifest them through that Jupiter.
Totally. And I actually don't see very many charts often that have, because I see a lot of charts with this either Neptune and Uranus both in Capricorn, or like I feel like I don't see them split very often. Like for me, I have both in Aquarius, right?
Yeah.
So, but for her, I don't know if I'm like, it's kind of small on my screen. Is Neptune in Capricorn and Uranus in Aquarius?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Interesting. So that's kind of like an interesting split. Because for me, I think of them one and the same, because for me, they're conjunct.
So my Neptune's in Capricorn and my Uranus is in Sag. And they're quite a split. I've got a 27-degree Uranus and a 5-degree Cap. 5-degree Neptune in Capricorn, so they're quite a bit. But they're always close by and following each other. And it's the outer planet's a generational thing. So like Scorpio and Pluto generation is here to like bring huge change. So different generations for different things. Yeah. Yeah.
And actually what's interesting, can we look at her Pluto placement? It's actually right at 1 degree. And what's kind of interesting about, I love talking about Pluto sometimes and like the generations, because like it really, like I'm the Pluto generation. Like Pluto and Scorpio
I am too. So that's why I love it. That's why I know it so much, and I know how intense it is.
Like,
and
it's like our generation is meant to, like, once we're able to be in power,
once we're in power,
we're gonna break everything down. We're gonna bring the tower moment to society and be like, excuse me.
Yeah, and that's I've said it for like the last 10 years, and it can come across harsh or whatever, but as the older generations die off, you know, and we step up more, the world's going to change. Things aren't going to be the way they were before. There's going to be huge change in the world. History won't repeat itself in that sense, you know, like that.
And with Pluto being the planet of like transformation, like where it is kind of, and it moves so slowly that it is like, you know, me and Cass, our whole generation, we all have Pluto and Scorpio, you know, but as soon as it like switches, it is a really subtle switch, but these next people, like for example, Pokimane, She's 1 degree into Sagittarius, so she's going to be one of the first, like, she's one of the first people to be like the people who will come in after us, who will. And the thing with Sagittarius is they're like opportunity takers. They're going to sweep in there and be like, whoa, let's like get together and have these ideas and brainstorm. And there's like all this potential with Sagittarius, I feel like, at least personally, where it's like after we get in there and destroy everything, and then once we die off and they kind of start taking over, like her and like that younger generation is going to be a lot more optimistic, I think, and bring in a lot of like really try and like manifest a good future for us, I think.
Definitely. Yeah. That's amazing to say that. That's really cool. We'll bring the change and then they'll set it off, you know, they'll shoot their arrow and take off and create things. Like, yeah, that's really cool. I like that.
And then
that's
even
nice.
after that, because I've even seen some charts recently for people who have Pluto and Capricorn, and they're going to be like much more like, they're going to bring it into like realization, right? They're going to take whatever the Sagittarius,
make it physical, practical.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to bring structure to it all. And
that's really cool.
It's going to be real cool.
Oh yeah, that's so cool. I love astrology.
Oh, I love astrology too. Do you want to talk about our moon in Aries really
quick? Yes. So that's like something, again, that the moon in Aries can counteract this, you know, this lazy energy here. Our moon in Aries is active. They have got a fiery energy building up inside of them that they need to get out and express in some way.
Because your moon sign is like how you deal with emotions, how you deal with your inner vibes. I feel like I can't help. How would you explain the moon sign?
Yeah, your emotions, your feelings, your reactions, how you nurture and care for yourself, your internal self, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Aries is very present, very fiery, and
it's cardinal. It's get out and go, get things moving, going, but it's short. It's not long lasting. It doesn't have the energy to last a long time. It puts a lot of energy out at first, but then it's not able to stick to things and make them long lasting. And they can be risk takers and good at starting new things and new beginnings and stuff like that. But that's because they can get bored and need that firiness and that newness to keep them going and fiery and passionate. Otherwise, that Aries placement can get quite depressed and quite... also in Aries placement get a lot of like tension headaches and a lot of issues with the head, because Aries rules the head too, because they're not burning that fire energy and it's not moving through them. They really need to burn that fire energy and have it moving through them. Otherwise it builds up, basically.
Totally. And you can actually see with her little square, she has a square up into her Jupiter as well with that. So it's almost like her ability to like stay on task and stay really concentrated on these goals that she has. Like it could be, she might have these bursts of inspiration where she feels really emotionally attached to these things, but she might need a break every now and then, or she might need like some downtime because her Aries moon isn't always going to be as passionate as she wants it to be, you know?
Definitely. Yeah. And what was I going to say as well? That Uranus keeps staring at me, jumping out at me too. Like, yeah, any kind of Uranus placement there in Aquarius is like, and it's also, it's in trine with these two as well. Not trine, sorry, in a square with these two as well. Is it in a square? Yeah, we are in a square. Then this is like going to push that energy. So this is like almost sort of similar in a way of sort of the energy we're going through now, a little bit like Taurus, Aquarius energy, where it's a square and it's like pushing you to like break free or do something unique and different in some way, or do something that's like with purpose, or that's for a higher purpose, or something that's for a bigger picture, or something humanitarian or on a big scale that involves people in some way. And that pushing with the sun's really going to that squaring with the sun's really going to push that, and it's going to push that Taurus self of hers too, to like she's going to be pushed to express herself more. She almost doesn't have a choice about it. Like there's something that's pushing and driving her inside that's Aries like, that's like it makes her more Aries like. This placement makes her more in the Aries sense of a bit more reckless too. Reckless and willing to take risks and try new things and all that sort of thing. Not as stubborn and Taurus and stuck.
Totally. That Uranus and Aquarius placement, because do you consider Uranus to be a ruler of Aquarius or not?
Yes, I
You do.
don't. Yeah, I don't look to Saturn. I don't look to
At
Saturn
all.
as a ruler. I mean,
Really?
not really. I don't focus on that. And same
Fair.
with Pisces. Neptune's a ruler, not Jupiter. It is,
Fair.
and there's other astrologers I've heard that feel similar. And it's not that you don't believe it. It's just that you feel that these energies play out more.
It just works.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually use both. I think of them as equal rulers. And it's been really interesting to kind of like decide where I stand on that, because in a way I almost feel like us being open to those. I think it was Alyssa Trahan, I think is the Divine Venus.
Yep.
Who mentioned it in a way where she was like, we as humanity were like opened up to these energies, and like which would have been like Uranus, like Neptune, like, because by the time we discovered those planets, astrology has already been a thing. But like we as humanity, I don't think would have been able to deal with the topics of Uranus and Neptune and Pluto, because they're so universal and there's like a oneness to them that I don't think humanity would have been ready for beforehand. And now that, and it almost seemed, since I kind of believe in divine timing, if I believe in anything, it's divine timing.
Same.
And so
yeah,
it's like,
definitely.
I almost feel like when we learned about those planets was when those energies became like accessible to us. So I feel like Uranus in Aquarius is like such a powerful spot, because Uranus is sort of like that innovative sort of like uniqueness, and then Aquarius is like, also it's just so like, where's your tribe?
If I'm reading a chart and the rising sign is that, I will look at Saturn and Uranus, but by default I just naturally always do that, and it's not even and then sometimes I have to realize later, oh fuck, I didn't even look at, and I'm like, it's always it's just like a natural thing for me now. I've noticed over the years is that I just don't. So, and it's part of, I guess, evolution as well, you know, as we evolve, and astrology evolves.
Yeah, it's kind of cool how like we all kind of can make our own decisions too. I've never really felt like anyone was right or wrong necessarily. It's an interesting thing.
And I think it's through your experience too. Like, I haven't seen a lot of Saturn energies through Aquarius people that I know. I have in some ways, but not. That's all actually. I have in some ways as certain traits, but I find the Uranus just comes through so much stronger.
Totally. I almost kind of feel like the at least in my brain, since Capricorn also is like Saturn, and then since to me Aquarius and Capricorn are both Saturn signs, it's like Capricorn is the one who will build the structures, and then Aquarius is going to be the one who's like going to break them down and like rebuild them, like kind of like innovate them. I suppose that's how like in my brain it kind of connects. But yeah, I definitely don't see like the two Saturns as like the same.
No, and this is where astrology can get complicated too, because it can also be a matter of, oh, but good night, Pagacras, I already missed you, take care. Thanks for your questions and being here. Is that it depends on like the Saturn placement and the Uranus placement too. Like, if there's a really crazy harsh Saturn placement, then that is going to influence it more too in the person. So it's just so much to look at in charts that it's just becomes so complicated as well.
It's so, really, the more I learn, the more I'm like, I don't know anything.
I know. I'm always like that too. It's like, I've been learning for 6 or 7 years and I still feel like I don't know anything. Like, there's just so much to learn. It's crazy. It's overwhelming. I've gotten to the points where I'm like, am I ever going to be able to like really do this full on? Like, because it's just so much, like, you know.
But at some point it's like you do.
Well, that's why I got to the point where I was like, I just have to get out there and do it, because otherwise I'm just going to continue learning and holding myself back, thinking I'm going to have to continue learning, when you don't have to know everything. You'll learn more as you go along, and more, as you said, the more charts you look at, you learn.
And I don't know about you, but I love studying. I am like the analysis.
I'm always signed up to so many different things. Like, I have some other study I've signed up for in the background that I need to do, and it's not astrology related. It's spiritual related, but it's not astrology related, or Reiki or healing related. It's healing, but it's something else, another modality that I've been learning for a few years, but now I've signed up to a course for it. And I really want to do that, but I need to like finish other things first, and like I've signed up for it, so I've got it there sitting ready to go. I've got the course, but I just haven't started it yet.
I know that feeling for sure. It's a lot. Is there anything else that pops out at you in her chart that you want to talk about before we move on to the next one?
I mean, Saturn in Aries again is going to speak of someone that definitely is going to have that really hard, really good leadership ethic. They're going to have a work ethic in a way, but they're going to be some kind of leader. They're going to be here to be their own boss, probably, especially Saturn Aries is someone that's going to be their own boss. They're going to do it their way. They're going to be able to be a leader and be innovative and all that in their own way. And it's someone that could struggle with, having a boss or having a normal structured job and stuff like that. They need that freedom to do things their own way. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
That like needing, I feel like innovation fits really well with that as well, like Saturn and Aries, because Aries is so inspired randomly. I feel like they have epiphanies often. Most of the Aries that I know actually are some of the most psychic people I know, like by the book psychics, because they just like tap into that shit. They just like get these bursts and they're like, let's go. So when your Saturn's there, it's like bringing structures to those bursts of inspiration, which is like a lot of people can't really like contain that like burst, you know? But with her moon there too, she gets it. She's like, oh, this burst, I like emotionally connect with this. Like I get this, you know? So she might find a lot of like emotional comfort in trying to like put her inspiration into a box, you know, and like really try and, oh, it's so cool, especially with all her Taurus.
And this so also there's Venus in Gemini too. It is squaring that Saturn, but Venus in Gemini is someone that can doesn't usually stick to one job or one occupation or one thing. They like variety. They need to be doing a couple of different jobs or different things on the side, or things, keeping things interesting and inquisitive and exciting and stuff like that. They need that. And it can be also someone that makes their money through some kind of communicating, some kind of public speaking or something like that, or some kind of like communicating, speaking, expressing themselves, putting themselves out there in some way as well.
I definitely like associate all the air signs like with the internet a lot, because it's like all air signs like love communicating. So like what's a better place to communicate than the internet? So to have like Venus, which is like kind of where you find beauty in the world, like and having it be in like Gemini, which is like quick communication, like little dabbling and being able to reach a lot of people at like, you know, at a really short amount of time. It's very like, she probably finds a lot of beauty in like the chaos of the internet, which probably makes sense with that little square to Saturn and Aries, because there isn't structure. There isn't like a book on how building an internet empire works, you know what I mean? And so like someone like POKIMANE, who might have like all these ambitions and like wants to be innovative, she doesn't really have a place to look to find that structure. She has to find it herself, you know?
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because you find such beauty in it.
Yeah, that's cool. And like, it's, you know, we can't look at the MC or anything like that, but her North Node's in Libra. And like the North Node's like, you know, your destiny or a destiny point or something that you're destined for or whatnot. And in Libra, it's a very social sign again. It's all about like networking and other people and relationships and that. So a big part of her destiny is the relationships and the people and everything that she connects and networks with as well. Relationships are a big part of her destiny. Totally. And a big focus for her too. And that means her South Node is then in Aries, and it's coming from a South Node of being someone who's independent, who has, the South Node is our natural skills and abilities that we come into this life with, that we then can use to move towards our North Node. And so that South Node of coming in sort of already as an independent person, someone that can take initiative and do things themselves, someone that can take risks, someone that can be a leader, someone that can do things themselves, basically. She's got that energy already to coming into this life as well.
And it's kind of interesting with the North Node, like how I've kind of, at least how I've been learning about the North Node, and especially with Chiron being in there too, like the North Node is almost something you need to like learn in this life, almost like it's something you need to learn, grow into, learn into. Yeah. Yeah, it's like not something you're naturally good at necessarily. And so she also has Chiron in there in Libra as well. So there's almost a sort of, Chiron is like your wounded healer. And so like wherever it lies in the chart, it's almost like, I almost kind of read it as like instant, like automatically a little bit unhealthy, like on the unhealthy side of the spectrum. So like the unhealthy Libra might be a little passive aggressive, and people pleaser, might avoid conflict, might like to the point where they might be putting themselves into a spot where they're really unhappy, or because they really like to keep the peace. Like if the peace is
that people pleasers.
yeah, if things are out of whack, they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be really uncomfortable. So her dealing with that and is kind of like a life, especially with her being on the internet and all of these like really innovative internet sort of vibes. Um, and especially with her, all that Taurus energy, there's like a certain like stubbornness to Tauruses, you know?
Yeah.
That,
And like Taurus energy too. It's like someone who has natural skills and abilities that they can use to provide financial security for themselves. So having that sun there too, it's a big part of what makes her shine is her natural skills and abilities that she's come into, that she has that are a part of her, like whether that's natural skills and abilities, the sun, her personality, her natural person skills and abilities around her personality, provide her financial security and support that she needs in this world.
totally. That's so interesting. Yeah. I feel like, should we move on to the next
Yeah, let's go to the
chart?
next one. I think that's pretty
This is
pretty good.
this is really fun though. Oh my God.
Okay, so let me.
I almost want to ask you to
Yeah.
like highlight this separately as an
Oh
individual
yeah, we'll
highlight.
definitely we'll do it.
That'd be really interesting.
I'll even I'll highlight it and then I'll see if I can send it to you or whatever.
Hell yeah.
Um,
Also, I didn't ask if I could cuss. I've been cussing here and there.
Oh yeah, I always do. It's okay.
Okay, okay. I never like asked